Google is back to stepping on its own toes. And by that, I mean it just launched the third member of its Pixel 8 series, the mid-range Pixel 8a, which sits surprisingly close to its smaller flagship, the Pixel 8. We have both the Pixel 8 and the Pixel 8a in hand, and we're gonna compare them top to bottom to see which one might be right for you. Up first, the designs. And I don't blame you if you feel like you're seeing double at this point, because Google's Pixel design is pretty much nailed down, but it's almost identical across the Pixel 8 and the Pixel 8a, to an extent that we haven't quite seen before. These two phones are almost the exact same height, the same width, and the same thickness, which means it gets down to the finer points when you have to tell them apart. One way you can do that, however, is the fact that the Pixel 8 offers just a little bit more screen real estate. It comes in with a 6.2-inch display to the Pixel 8a's 6.1-inch option, meaning that you're getting a little bit more screen and a little bit less bezel despite the almost identical footprints. On top of that, one of the bigger ways to tell the two phones apart is the fact that the Pixel 8a has much rounder corners than the Pixel 8 does. It's kind of an interesting feeling though, because even though they're almost the same size, the softer corners actually make the more affordable phone feel a bit smaller and a bit more comfortable in the hand. Further, the difference in finishes between the two phones kind of gives you a little bit more of a way to differentiate them. The Pixel 8 has glossy Gorilla Glass Victus on the back, while the more affordable Pixel 8a has a composite back, which is essentially just a dressed up word for plastic. It doesn't feel cheap or plasticky in the hand though, and the matte finish to it actually feels pretty close to what you'd get on the Pixel 8 Pro. Both phones also have in-display fingerprint readers, which are about the same as far as placement and accuracy, and have certainly come a long way since the days of the Pixel 6 series. They also share identical button layouts with a SIM tray on the left side, your power and volume buttons on the right, and almost identical speakers on the bottom edge. Also, despite its slightly smaller display, the Pixel 8a actually has many of the same specs as the more premium Pixel 8's display. Both are 60 to 120 Hz refresh rates. The Pixel 8a actually has the same exact resolution, which means paired with the smaller display, it's slightly more pixel dense than the more expensive counterpart. But you can also compare the durability, with the Pixel 8a sporting Gorilla Glass 3 for the display and the plastic back that we already mentioned, while the Pixel 8 has Gorilla Glass Victus on both sides and has slightly better IP68 rating to the Pixel 8a's IP67 mark. As if the designs weren't similar enough, both the Pixel 8 and the Pixel 8a are almost identical performers too. Both phones have Google's third generation Tensor G3 chipset under the hood, as well as 8 gigs of RAM out the box, 128 gigabytes of base storage, and the option to double that storage for an added cost. Of course, there is no expandable storage on either one, so you'll have to kind of decide ahead of time whether you think you'll need the extra storage or not. Both the Pixel 8 and the Pixel 8a put up almost exactly the same numbers through our benchmarking scores from top to bottom. Now, benchmarking isn't going to translate exactly to real life, but it's a pretty good indicator that the Pixel 8a should be able to keep up through your daily life. One area where there is a little bit of daylight between the Pixel 8 and the more affordable Pixel 8a, however, is its charging setup. The more premium Pixel 8 sports up to 27-watt wired charging with up to 18-watt wireless charging on Google's specific Pixel stand. If you don't have the Pixel stand, it still supports 12-watt wireless charging through any other Qi-enabled charger. Over on the Pixel 8a, you're looking at a maximum of 18-watt wired charging, which takes a little bit longer. And if you're feeling like you want to try the wireless charging, the results are even worse at just 7.5 watts. Jumping back to shared territory, both the Pixel 8 and the Pixel 8a launched with Android 14 right out of the box. Both will also benefit from Google's really impressive 7 years of updates. Now, that includes Android versions, feature drops, and security coverage, making it some of the longest support in the industry. We have seen other flagships pick up similar long-term commitments, such as the iPhone and Samsung's Galaxy S24 series. But bringing 7 years of updates to the mid-range category puts the Pixel 8a ahead of several of its similarly priced competitors too. On top of the impressive update support, Google's Pixel UI experience is just about identical across both devices. That means you're getting the same set of AI-powered features, including leaning heavily on the Gemini assistant, which Google launched right after the Pixel 8 series. That means both devices can also tap into Circle to Search, Live Translate, and several other features, including Google's full suite of calling features like Call Screen, Hold For Me, and Smart Responses. Although the camera bars on both the Pixel 8 and the Pixel 8a may look almost identical, there are some key differences between the two dual camera setups. The Pixel 8a actually offers more megapixels to play with, pairing a 64 megapixel primary camera with a 13 megapixel ultra-wide camera. Unfortunately, the ultra-wide camera does miss out on macro vision, which is unfortunate since it's a software-based feature. so there's not really a good reason that Google could have skipped it. Granted, the pixels on both of the Pixel 8a's cameras are a little bit smaller, which means they might not stand up quite as well in low light, but it's still going to be a very close experience to the Pixel 8's flagship camera options. The Pixel 8a also has a very slightly narrower 120-degree field of view on its ultra-wide camera, which compares pretty close to the Pixel 8's 125 degrees. Switching to that premium Pixel, it carries the same 50-megapixel primary camera that you'd find on the Pixel 8 Pro. It's also paired with a 12-megapixel ultra-wide camera and the 125-degree field of view we just mentioned. The primary sensor is a slightly more capable option, capable of a 2x in-sensor crop, which gives you a little bit more optical zoom quality before it switches to a hybrid or a digital option. Despite their hardware differences, as you can see in our camera samples, the Pixel 8 and the Pixel 8a hand in almost identical results in several scenarios. It's hard to pick out the differences between the two in both portrait and ultra-wide shots, with the $500 Pixel delivering almost the same details and colors as its $700 counterpart, despite the slightly different fields of view. Sure, if you look closely, the Pixel 8 is a hair bolder in the colors of the statue of the boy and girl, but if you were to view the images separately, you'd probably say they both came from flagship devices. There are, however, a few situations where the hardware differences are a bit more noticeable. For example, the Pixel 8 handles zoom much better than the Pixel 8, despite both topping out at 8x zoom. The shots of the boat in the harbor show much better detail and color recreation, thanks to the Pixel 8's larger sensor size, even as you punch all the way in. Another difference between the two is the default selfie camera zoom. Although both devices default to 1x zoom when you flip the camera around, the Pixel 8a's version of 1x is much wider than the Pixel 8's. I mean, it's good news if you want to fit friends into your shot, but it might throw you off if you were expecting a nice tight angle for your selfie. Also, 4K video at 30 frames per second is pretty similar across both cameras too. I'd probably say the Pixel 8's stabilization is just a hair better, but it's not a very big difference for a $200 price gap. As far as camera features go, Macrovision is the only one missing from the Pixel 8a. Everything else is exactly the same. Unfortunately, that means neither device supports Google's new Pro controls, but both are still capable of tapping into night sight, cinematic pan, and several others that you've come to expect. If you're getting close to making your decision between Google's Pixel 8 and Pixel 8a, you're probably wondering what you can expect to pay for both devices. Both are pretty widely available in the US, whether you're looking to buy unlocked or hunt down a deal through your carrier. If you're looking towards the Pixel 8a, it kicks off at $499 with 128 gigabytes of storage, which is exactly the same launch price as the previous Pixel 7a. It's also available in 4 colors: bay, aloe, obsidian, and porcelain, with the first 2 being blue and green and the last 2 being black and white. Also, should you decide that you want to go for the 256 gigabytes of storage model, your option is only the obsidian colorway, and it's going to set you back $559. If you're leaning towards the Pixel 8, it kicks off at $699, which is an increase from the previous generation. It launched in 3 colors, hazel, rose, and obsidian, but Google has since added a 4th mint option, which is a little bit of a softer green than the aloe on the Pixel 8a. You can once again upgrade and double your storage for a $60 fee, bringing the phone to a price of $759 if you can't find it on a discount. However, you usually can. Unlike most of our comparisons, where we usually tell you that it's going to vary from person to person, it feels like there's a little bit more of a clear winner in this case. And that winner is the Pixel 8. These two phones share so much in common, from their chipsets, their camera features, and 90% of their shared designs, that Google is leaning maybe a bit too heavily on the difference in price to sway you one way or another. As long as you can find a discount on the Pixel 8, you're getting so much more value for not that much more money. Things like cheaper materials and slower wireless charging speeds don't really make up the full price difference when you're already getting so many of the same features. Either way, if you're ready to pick up the Google Pixel 8 or the Google Pixel 8a, you can do so down below.